So now we know how to load content into Reactive Suite. Let's show you how to interact with it using keyboard and mouse. Very simple to use, without a touchscreen, just keyboard and mouse. So pick up your mouse, left click to interact with the object that you want to interact with. I want to interact with this PowerPoint, so I left click onto it, all the UI starts to appear. This is the resizing UI. Just by dragging onto the four corner, I can resize my content. And I can also move my content by holding onto the left click of the mouse, and I can reposition. So I pick it up by holding. I'm still holding using my mouse, and if I want to move it here, I just simply let go of the mouse. It will stay there. I can do the same thing with the camera, move it, resize it, and if I kind of mess it up, I can always go back to the template UI and switch accordingly. So don't be afraid, feel free to try it out. And if I want to go to the next page, I can click on this icon and I go to the next page, or this icon to go back to the previous page. Or I can use the keyboard, right? So I can use the right arrow key to move to the next page, left arrow key to move back to the previous page. Or if I like to use the mouse wheel, I can scroll down to go to the next page, scroll up to the previous page. If I want to use the touchpad and two finger, I can move up using a swipe up motion and it will go to the next page. If I swipe down, it could go back to the previous page. All the same as how you would interact with your PowerPoint, for example, in Windows. Very standardized. And if I want to annotate, I can click on this toggle draw mode. I click on that. Notice the mouse pointer becomes a pen, and I can annotate accordingly by left clicking. So that's how I trigger the pen and writing. If I want to erase, I click on the eraser icon and left click and I can erase. Quite simple. And if I want to use the hotkey, which is the way I personally like to use it, I don't like to click on the icons. So what I could do is, without touching the icon, without selecting the icon, right, the draw mode, I use the control with my left hand to hold on, and then this will turn the mouse pointer into a pen, and this is when I start to move the mouse, it's going to be a pen. The moment I let go of the control, it becomes a mouse pointer again. And if I want to erase, I hold down the shift key. Notice that now the mouse pointer becomes eraser, and I move my mouse pointer to the stroke and I erase, and I let go of the shift key, becomes a mouse pointer. You can try that also. My opinion is a better way to annotate and erase, much quicker, so I don't have to toggle between the keys. Okay. Now you can select the pen by clicking onto the select pen icon, and notice there is a permanent ink, it's a pen, or a highlighter, or a laser pointer, disappearing ink, or the eraser. And you can select it and change color. So for example, yellow color is the one that I want. This is the size that I want. I can of course change it to a bigger size. And when that happens, notice that this becomes a very thick ink. So you can choose accordingly. And highlighter as well, I can choose the highlighter, the color, the size of it, and this will become a highlighter. Okay, so depending on your habit, you can choose different pen mode and size and color. And this is a laser pointer, so let's say I like the blue color, and notice the effect. The ink will not be permanent. It's gonna disappear after a threshold. Right now it's set to 4 seconds. So after 4 seconds, you'll notice the blue ink starts to disappear. So you can use that as a laser pointer kind of to basically focus your audience attention onto a certain part with a quick point and write, so their attention will go there. Very easy to follow along when you're doing a online presentations, workshop, consultations. So those are the different modes that you can choose, play around with it. And then the next icon here is full screen. So I click on that, it becomes full screen. And my camera always will take dominant position, so it's going to be on top of the content always. So be aware of the effect, and you can resize your camera if you want to do it kind of like a picture-in-picture. You can actually present that way. That will also look pretty interesting as you are presenting. Or you can make it side by side, but be aware of the positions and your flavor. So that's how you are able to create the presentation layout that you have. Sometimes I don't want to use the icon, I can hotkey it, and here, as I said, you can toggle full screen by pressing escape. escape, then you can press the escape to maximize it or go back to its original position. Again, if you want to kind of go back to a default template, just click on that. Very easy to use. Next, zooming. Zooming in is quite important. It's used a lot in presentations. For example, I want to focus their attention on a particular part of this slide. Notice that this slide has a lot of words and pictures, so as I start talking, it might be difficult for the audience to immediately know which part I'm talking about. So normally what I would do is I'm going to click on this and then I will zoom in. Let's say I want to zoom in. Okay, that's about the size I want. Then I can move to the position that I want by left click mouse, quick drag. So I can I'm dragging, so basically left click, move, and then I can go anywhere. So that's one way to interact with it, zooming in and zooming back out. Or my personal favorite, using the hotkey. What is the hotkey? Control. So I hold on to Control again, and I'll zoom in using the mouse wheel. So for example, if I want to zoom into this area right there, what I want to do is move my mouse pointer over there and I control and zoom in. Notice that it's zooming in using the mouse pointer as a target. Okay, so if I move the mouse pointer to the middle and I zoom in, notice that it's going to zoom in using my mouse pointer as a target. When I move the mouse pointer to the right edge, notice that it's going to go to the right edge. So that's how I interact with my document if I want to focus and talk about the manual mode, and I do that. So the audience attention will go to that corner of the slide. So you can actually become a magician and focus their attentions by zooming in and out. Then this is a delete icon, is to delete all the ink that you wrote. When you delete it, it deletes all the ink that you did in all slides, not just this particular page. Or you can save the ink. So for example, I am saving the ink, right, using a permanent pen. And let me go to the front of the document. So this is the front of the document. Let me just create something here, 1, 2, 3. So you kind of know that this is a new ink that we created, and I save. So it's going to ask you to rename the file. So let me just explain about this real quickly. The original file was called Cube and Hub, and everything, this is the timestamp created by the software. So you know the content name because you chose the PowerPoint document Cube and Hub, and then you save and create annotation saved document. So that is the timestamp created, and this original folder is where the original document was selected from. So it's gonna save a copy back to the original folder right next to your original copy. So let's say this is satisfactory. I click OK. It just did. The save is done. So let's open it up in PowerPoint. There are several ways to look for that document. First, if you remember where the folder was, you can go into Windows Explorer and look for that. Or you can click on here. This says Launch in Explorer. You click on that, then it's going to launch the Windows folder where the document was selected. Remember, I used Cube and Hub as a document, and then I created copies. So this is the newest copy created. Okay, I'm going to open it up at PowerPoint. Notice that's the ink, recognized as Windows ink by Microsoft Document. So you can actually annotate and write within Reactiv Suite. All the inking and annotation will be recognized as Windows ink in Office documents such as PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. So it's very easy to interact with a document and send it out as meeting minutes or send it out as draft notes. For example, let's say if you want to highlight that user needs to actually change this tagline, you can basically write out your idea here, and then your participant or your team member can see this and they can fix the tagline and erase it accordingly. So this is very easy to use. Everything is compatible with Microsoft Office. Okay, so that's the Save Ink. So that's it with how to interact with your content using keyboard and mouse. Start to try it out.